Hello, dear friends. Things are finally coming to a head. Opinion piece. Squid Game. News overload. Right to disconnect. Information overload. Get ready for what's coming. Europe maintain gas reserves. Let's start. If you want to block or paralyze someone, give more information than he or she can process. The press offices of public or private organizations order their hired journalists to give a lot of information in order to hide what they want to say, like the ink cloud of an octopus or a squid. I try to avoid this problem by dosing, simplifying and summarizing information as best as I can. It is the art of camouflage, which doesn't consist of keeping silent, but of talking a lot in order to say nothing, and never giving a direct answer to the most important questions. Professional politicians are great experts in this art. It is called taking the talk in the news jargon, and the same is being applied to the information on the reset. The term information overload was coined in 1970 by Alvin Toffler in his book The Shock of Future. Intoxication is an appropriate word in English to refer to an overload of information that is difficult to process. Information overload is also called infodemia and is associated with the abundance of information received through technology and social media. It is necessary to constantly review the inflow of information to select the information we need. Squid, like octopuses, distract their predators by expelling a cloud of ink, which gives them a chance to escape. This helps protect them from their attackers and allows them to get closer to their prey. Their skin is covered with controllable chromatophores of different colors, allowing the squid to match its coloring to its surroundings. The play of colors can also distract prey from the squid's approaching tentacles. The Squid Game was a South Korean TV thriller series and survival drama released on 17th September 2021 on Netflix. The series tells the story of 456 people who decide to become players in a series of mysterious and sickly children's games of deadly survival for a chance to win the maximum amount of money. The game is so named because the area in which the game is played has different geometric shapes drawn on the ground that together appear to form a squid. Wave of information. Juan Osabin says you are about to get caught up in so much information coming at your head and fast in the coming hours and days. We all need to spread the word that something big is coming. When it comes, we shouldn't panic. This is literally going to be a moment of the divine hand, so we must be sure to always use discernment. Our job at this time is to stay alive and positive, no matter how many bad things seem to come our way in the coming weeks. Stay calm. We are not alone. Get ready for what's ahead, says Stefan, in quotes. No one knows what's coming. In the future, we will have to plan for things, and we must have as much information as possible to get our planning right. Let us prepare for the new world, ready for prosperity and abundance, ready for a nature that we have all rarely experienced, and ready to learn all that is necessary when the time is right. Intoxication. Information overload. Infoxication. Infobesity, or information overload syndrome, is a concept generally used in conjunction with various forms of computer-mediated communication such as email, Information overload occurs when the amount or intensity of information exceeds the individual's limited processing capacity, which can lead to dysfunctional effects. It's important to exercise the right to digital disconnection outside working hours in order to avoid stress. In everyday life, infoxication is on the rise, and eagerness to photograph and write everything, to communicate constantly. The culture of Instagram, Snapchat, WhatsApp, Facebook, an irrepressible desire to produce and reproduce images in an unrestrained way, to save everything, every image, though information, and not only individuals, but also companies and public bodies classifying and storing data. Reset news. Egypt's central bank announces plan to move away from the dollar. The head of the central bank says the Egyptian pound should be pegged to all currencies. Fed quietly sends a record $11 billion to Switzerland. It's not just the silver market that are reached, says Big Swire. All markets have been 100% controlled by computers, and the Exchange Stabilization Fund derivatives have been exhausted since the 70s. Alan Greenspan was the best financial computer programmer for 50 years, since the gold standard was abandoned in 1971. Since then, nothing has been freely traded. All that is about to change. Kraken, one of the world's leading cryptocurrency exchanges, is running out of management after co-founder Jess Powell announced last month he was stepping down as CEO and becoming the firm's new chairman. The economic slowdown has arrived for the big revenue sources for technology companies, the cloud companies that provide their customers with low-cost applications and computing power. California could overtake Germany as the world's fourth largest economy. Geopolitics. The New York Times calls Elon Musk and, in quotes, agent of geopolitical chaos after his proposal to resolve the crisis in Ukraine and Taiwan. The Storm Rider believes corruption must happen again to catch its perpetrators in real time. This time the public will be acutely aware of what transpires. Russia and Turkey reach an agreement on gas hub project. Turkey hopes to remove all obstacles to the shipment of Russian agricultural products. According to the Storm Rider, while Turkey, NATO's largest military force in Europe, is quietly beginning to leave the alliance, Turkey is now receiving gas from Russia and made its largest purchase so far. Turkey attended the summit with China last month and made deals to join the BRICS. In recent months, Turkey allowed the Chinese military to deliver missile systems to Serbia and allowed China to use Turkish military bases for forward operations. Poland currently hosts NATO's 101st Airborne Infantry Unit and several other military units from France, the UK, and other foreign legions. Polish intelligence connected to the White Hats have been giving classified briefings to Poland's current Prime Minister, who recently said that NATO's power against Russia would be only a paper tiger. There is talk of an upcoming exit of Turkey, Hungary, and Slovakia from NATO in 2023. Austria, Serbia, Bosnia, Kosovo, Montenegro have declined to join NATO. The money is running out. They are planning coups in Poland, Turkey, and Nicaragua if they do not comply with their agenda. Ukraine. Russia takes its dirty bomb accusation to the United Nations Security Council. Moscow denounces to the United Nations that Kiev is violating the biological weapons ban agreement. US could intervene directly in Ukraine, says former CIA chief. retired General David Petrus told the French weekly L'Express on Saturday that the West could join the conflict in Ukraine, even if there is no threat to NATO member states. Former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger called for a diplomatic solution to the Ukrainian conflict, or else it could escalate into a serious conflict. The problem is no longer one of geopolitics, but of basic security. Former French President Nicolas Sarkozy writes, in quotes, "I regret that the European Union gives the impression that it is in thrall to the Americans. Whether we like it or not, countries do not change their direction. Europe and Russia are condemned to peaceful and good neighborly relations. If we can reconcile France and Germany, we can reconcile Europe and Russia. Chancellor Scholz believes, in quotes, that the world still needs Russian oil to flow onto the market, despite the sanctions imposed by the West, and the intention to introduce an oil price cap. World oil consumption is expected to reach 1.7 million barrels per day by 2023, which is why Russian oil is still needed. Sabotage. Denmark, Germany and Sweden will not share their findings on the attack on Nord Stream pipelines. Finland has refused to publish its military investigation into the Nord Stream bombings that left a 100-yard crater where the explosion occurred. Was it an inside job? The Nord Stream 1 pipeline remains closed. The Nord Stream 2 is still leaving and not delivering gas. Nobody is talking about it. Europe is flush with natural gas thanks to a combination of storage facilities, lower demand and mild weather, among other factors. That lower demand is because heavy industry is still suffering and in many cases shut down and is not expected to recover. This whole pipeline sabotage story dominated the news cycle for a few days. Now, even after Swedish authorities found an underwater drone full of explosives near one of the pipeline's feed lines, no one really cares. Speculation about who destroyed the pipeline wandered around the world, but no one has claimed responsibility. Supply crisis. An expected turn in Europe's energy crisis. Warm autumn weather and successful cargo bids have changed the energy landscape in Europe. It now has more gas than it can use. According to Bloomberg, European countries rushed to import liquefied gas as the autumn and winter approached. The West now has near full stocks before citizens turn on the heat, while gasoline is less than a third of the peak it reached in the summer. France will allocate $46 billion to offset electricity bills by 2023. According to a recent Gallup poll, 2/3 of citizens believe economic conditions are getting worse. The second largest auto lender in the US just announced that retail auto loan charge-offs quadrupled in the third quarter. We are also seeing credit card delinquencies start to rise. Cargo traffic at the port of Los Angeles has just dropped to the lowest level we have seen. Major retailers like Walmart and Target have cancelled billions of dollars in orders as they look to reduce inventory levels. Existing home sales have just fallen to a 10-year low. In the month of September alone, 60,000 real estate deals were cancelled. Demand for mortgages has plummeted for the lowest level in 25 years. House prices could fall by 20% over the next year. Diesel inventories have fallen to the lowest levels in 2008. The Consumer Price Index has just risen to the highest level since 1982. A model created by Bloomberg economists Anna Bong and Elitha Winger indicates that there is a 100% chance of a recession in the next 12 months. China. Wealthy Chinese are activating financial escape plans to Singapore. That is why we would not be surprised to see another surge in the value of Bitcoin. The obvious question, then, is how long before China batten down the hatches and make money transfers to Singapore impossible. China is engaged in a stealth devaluation while pretending to be trying to contain the collapse of the yuan. In September 2015, millions of Chinese rushed to put their savings abroad, frightened by the wave of devaluation. China's wealthiest found themselves in market turmoil on Monday, when Chinese stocks plunged more than they did in 2008. According to Bloomberg's list of billionaires, the 13 richest Chinese lost $12.7 billion just one day after Xi Jinping's consolidation of power. Wealthy families in Hong Kong and China are at the tipping point over the activation of so-called financial fire escape plans to avoid Xi Jinping's wrath. Xi Jinping is expected to unleash a wide range of wealth taxes that have spooked the rich. Xi Jinping said China has fulfilled its 100-year plan to eradicate poverty and ensure moderate welfare for all. The next 100-year plan is to make everyone moderately wealthy in harmony with nature, in his words. Did the People's Bank of China let the yuan fall? Until Tuesday, the People's Bank of China had been fighting the depreciation of the yuan through strong pegs. However, the defense collapsed a bit as soon as the CCP Congress ended. Tuesday's fixing was not as strong as in previous sessions, even as the yuan fell to its lowest level since 2007. Reflections. Never apologize for being too much, too passionate, too wide, too curious, because no, you are not normal, and that's a blessing. Sign it, Alexis Raccoon. Considering what is happening now, in the cosmic scheme of things, wouldn't it be better to focus more on spirituality and the next one rather than this piece of junk we are imprisoned in? After all, how many of those here now are going to make it to the other side of this semi-controlled demolition that will, in all likelihood, turn into a chaos that makes Mad Max look like a walk in the park in all metropolitan areas? Many want to get off the reincarnation wheel, but they sure don't act like it. Sacred texts such as the Kolbrin, the Emerald Tablet, and the Kybalion all imply that the idea is to get off this rock and not come back. The biggest problem with staying here is the attachment to food and sex. How to overcome the negative by the Arcturian Council. Look for the things that are going well in your life and in the world outside of you, and let go of fear-based thoughts. Worry about things that may never happen, and even worry because it doesn't serve you. Your mind likes to have problems to solve, and your ego likes to have enemies to fight. But if you continue to operate as mind-oriented egos, you will not raise the level of your consciousness, and you will not become your higher self easily and effortlessly. And thanks a lot, dear friends. That's all for today.